All right. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sindre Tolleshaug.
Yeah, really good
Cool. Okay.
pronunciation.
I've bastardized it. It's the American version.
Almost sounds Norwegian.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what?
yeah.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
It's been like 14 years, and I still haven't figured it out. I'll get there one day.
One day.
One day. But for now, we are in the beautiful Porsche Center Oslo.
Yeah, dude.
In the delivery room.
In the delivery halls, yes, we have two of these delivery halls where the customers sort of meet their dream car for the first time. You know,
There you go.
just creates this beautiful atmosphere.
There you go. I qualify for one of those.
You did?
I've met my dream car. I am.
We put your
still not a
Defender in the other one.
Yes. Somebody else is getting that dream car. I'm
Yeah.
trading the Defender for this. Tell me a bit about this car right here.
This car, all right. This is a really nice car. This is a 718 Boxster GTS 4-liter.
The 4-liter.
Yes.
Very
You
important.
know all about the
distinction.
4-liter, don't you?
I know a little bit.
Yeah.
I know how many liters it has.
It has, yes, 4 of those.
Yep.
But this one is actually a manual gearbox as well.
Yep.
So it's like this purist version of a Boxster, basically. And joy of joys, it's gone back to being naturally aspirated.
There you go.
Ah, fantastic.
Yes.
Right into it.
Yes. Yes. I want to pick something out real quick. Just
Yep.
a little picky detail. The number 4. When it comes to 4-liter Porsches, why is 4 the magic number? Why do people love that number so much?
You know, it's 4 liters is actually quite a big engine.
It
In
is.
terms of size. You know, even not for you, of course, you have these American monster engines.
Mine's 2.5.
Yeah. But like for a European car, 4 liters is actually quite a lot now, especially in these days with emissions and stuff like that. So the fact that Porsche was able to produce a 4-liter engine in the Boxster, insane. You know,
Why do they keep coming back to 4 liters for like the epitome of the sports car?
it's a tough question. We have a history with 4 liters, like the 997 RS, for example.
Yep.
GT3 RS.
The last Metzger engine.
Yeah, proper Metzger engine. Yeah, correct. The 992 GT3 is obviously a 4-liter as well, and the old 991 GT3 RS was also 4-liter. So a 4-liter is almost symbolic for us. It just means that it's a really fucking nice engine, basically. So it's like a quality stamp, basically. For
Is
Porsche.
that kind of like a ceiling that Porsche doesn't want to exceed for their sports cars? Because part of the charm of the Porsche sports car is that it's compact, it's small, it's nimble.
Yeah, and when you look at like the 356s and old 911s, they used to be really small capacity engines. When the 911 came out, it had a 2-liter engine, you know, really small.
Yeah.
And a part of the charm and the experience of it is, you know, you have all these revs. It's so eager to rev. And when you get like a huge engine, it sort of feels lazy and muscular, and it's not really revving that nice. So with a bit more than 4 liters, I think that would sort of compromise the way that the engine actually feels and revs. So yeah, it may be like a roof for Porsche in terms of dynamics.
Was that the downfall of the 928? Do you think?
Could be,
among
yeah.
other things?
Because the whole, I actually haven't driven a 928, but I've seen all the videos and stuff, and people seem to describe them very differently to, for example, a 911, which feels analog and is a real driver's car. A 928 is more comfortable, more easygoing, and I think that's a lot of that is actually down to the engine.
Yeah.
Could be that. Yeah.
Is there ever going to be a spiritual successor to the 928? Like a two-door Panamera?
Did you see the renderings of what a 928 would look like today?
It's cool.
It looks fantastic.
It's cool.
Yeah. But you know, the whole thing about the transaxle axle 911s Porsches was basically the front engine and the rear drive. And with electric cars now coming, probably not going to see that again. You know, not in the same way at least. But the styling could be there.
With that in mind, is this the last naturally breathing sports car?
Could be.
After the because I'm guessing they're not going to end the 911 on.
You're going to make me sad by saying that, but yeah. It might actually be. And that's part of what makes it so special to me, at least. The 992 GT3 is obviously still naturally aspirated, luckily.
And the RS will be as well.
Yeah, it will.
And there will be a touring.
Yeah.
That will also.
So, but that's more in the category of like supercars, not sports cars. This is a purist sports car,
Yes.
which doesn't cost too much money. It's still ludicrously expensive, but
yeah.
yeah.
It's the king of the sports cars.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Before we go too far, tell me a bit about the car. It is Python green.
It's Python green, yes, a very obnoxious color, but
Yes.
same thing. It's it's cool.
Colors
really
are in.
cool.
It's June. Colors.
It is.
We're all
It
about
is.
colors in June.
Yeah, definitely. And
We're
to be honest,
waving
I'm so tired of black on black cars.
It's boring, right?
Oh shit. All the time.
Norway's so boring with the color choices.
When it comes to colors.
But we're digressing again. The car. The car. Tell me about the car. How is it spec'd?
Python green. It's got a lot of equipment basically. So of course, being a GTS, it's got the Alcantara interior, of course, extended package, and it's got red stitching as well.
Sporty.
Which is a nice touch on the green paint, to be honest.
Yeah. Matches the brake calipers.
Yeah.
Steel brakes, the red.
Steel brakes, the red, of course. So it's a sort of theme going in from the brakes to the interior, and the wheels are satin black, which I think look badass on that car.
It's cool.
Yeah. Personally, I don't think the green is my favorite color for it, but to be honest, the fact that it just has a color, not just black, is fantastic.
And it's special.
It is. It makes the car special right away.
It seems like the Porsche GT colors kind of come and go.
Yeah.
Like they did,
do.
like Miami Blue isn't a thing anymore.
Came and went. Came, saw, and conquered, and then
yeah, exactly.
went away. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So at some point, Python green won't be a thing, and these will become collectible because of it.
Yeah, I think so. It might actually be. Yeah, and the manual gearbox as well in this thing.
Yeah, true.
Not many of these cars were actually spec'd with a manual.
Why not?
Once again, in Norway, we're extremely boring when it comes to gearboxes as well. 90% of the cars, well, maybe more, maybe 95, 96% of the cars that we deliver are always automatics and PDKs.
All the cars in general, or the 718s?
We haven't delivered a single 992, 911 that's manual.
You haven't?
Not a single one.
You haven't?
No.
Whoa! But everybody was so excited
Yeah.
about it being a manual.
Yeah.
That was
But
like the
that's
headline of
enthusiast.
every article.
That's the idiots who can't really afford one. That's
Come
you
on.
and me, man.
Come on, about like 5% of the 911 owners aren't
Yeah.
enthusiasts in Norway? God, that's insane.
Yeah, it is, actually. And it's sort of depressing as well to think about it. It is.
People like the idea of a manual.
They like the idea of a manual, but when it comes down to it, they will choose the PDK.
Oh my
and
God.
obviously, that's because the PDK is so incredibly good,
Yeah.
of course, these days. But
There's the thing, I don't pretend to like the manual. I like the manual, it's
Yeah.
fun,
Yeah.
and it's engaging,
yeah,
but it's exhausting.
yeah, at the same time.
It takes work. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm going to spend that much money on a car, it's going to be a daily.
Yeah,
I'm going to use it all the time.
yeah,
I don't want to sit. For example, it took me today to get here an hour and a half to drive maybe 3 or 4 kilometers through Oslo.
Jesus Christ.
Just closed
In a
roads.
Defender.
In a Defender. My left leg. And I had leg day this morning at the gym.
You did?
I did squats this morning.
timing is
my
terrible.
left leg is dying.
Yeah,
I'm going to lose it. And which I guess answers the question, but I'm honest about it. And I'm guessing there are a lot of people who are honest about it. But the amount of comments and headlines and videos of people saying, "Oh, finally there's a manual," and
Yeah.
will the GT3 be manual? Like, yeah, it will be.
It will be, but then no one.
They're not
will
gonna
buy
get it.
No.
The PDK is faster.
It's a lot better and faster compared to myself, at least. Which I'm a what I call a happy amateur when it comes to driving.
Yeah.
Obviously I've driven a lot of sports cars and I'm handy behind the wheel, but I'm not a racing driver. And I'm far from a professional, really.
Yeah.
In my case, the PDK is like twice as good as me at shifting and twice as fast as me at shifting.
Yeah.
So from an objective standpoint, of course, the PDK makes a lot more sense to most people. But it's exactly what you said. It's the involvement, it's the engagement with the car, just the feeling of like the perfect downshift.
Is it the journalists that are the problem? Do you think
Maybe.
all the journalists are excited to get a press car for 1 week that they can shift?
Yeah, of course.
with?
But all the purists, they're enthusiasts. The journalists, they're enthusiasts.
Yeah, yeah.
That's sort of, I'm like real enthusiast.
Yes.
And usually they're getting old for age. You know, maybe they're 40, 50 years old, and manual cars have always been a thing in their generation.
Yeah.
And now it's sort of dying away.
Yeah. But can we stop pretending that we want manuals? We have to stop pretending because we're not going to get them. The next generation of any sports car is not going to come on a manual. It's just not.
Porsche have said publicly that they want to be the last producer of cars in the world.
They want to be.
That
just like everybody wants manuals.
Yeah.
They're all lying. They're all lying to themselves.
Good point.
I don't see the next 911, for example.
It probably won't be, unfortunately.
I don't see it coming without a battery. I don't see the facelift coming without a battery.
Could be. There's room for it, as you
know.
Along the gearbox of it. But it's not a big space that's freed up for an electric motor. It's quite small.
Realistically, how much of an electric motor could you fit back there?
I wouldn't really call it a motor. I would call it a booster.
Okay.
It's my guess, at least.
Just to help.
Of course, we don't know these things for sure. Even the people at Porsche Center, we don't know these things at all. But my guess is not going to be a conventional hybrid.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because, well, you need a big battery pack, and the 911 is already quite heavy.
Doesn't need more weight in the back.
It doesn't, no. And where the fuck do you put the battery pack?
Yeah.
You know?
There's
no room for it.
No.
So I thought that have you heard about supercapacitors?
No, but that sounds cool.
Yeah, it sounds
that's my new
really
favorite
cool.
superhero.
VMAX.
Supercapacitor.
Yeah. and Lamborghini just brought them out.
Okay.
In their new, what's it called? Cyan?
Yeah.
Yeah, the insane, sort of facelift of the Aventador or
the
something.
One-off.
Yeah. They brought out something called a supercapacitor, and it's the size of an A3 sheet of paper.
Okay.
It weighs a lot less. Of course, it's less capacity.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of size and in terms of weight, it doesn't really take up any space at all. It's a lot lighter.
Okay.
And when an electric car, you're charging the battery. You're actually converting energy from electricity into chemical energy and stored as chemical energy. And believe it or not, that takes time. You know. Even of course, electric cars are very responsive, but supercapacitors are like twice as responsive. Once again.
Okay.
Because the electric energy is actually stored as electric energy.
Okay.
Right? So it's just circulating, basically.
Yeah.
Which means that you can deploy and charge the battery really, really fast. And it will give you so much more boost, basically.
Okay.
If it makes sense. It's like a battery, only smaller.
I'm an idiot, so it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
I'm going to need a
battery.
picture.
It's like a battery, but it's small and light and can deploy its power much faster.
Okay.
Which will be more suited for like a proper sports car like a 911.
Wait.
Could be.
Might have to pause. 1 sec. I told her I was picking up the car, and I think she is beyond excited.
Cheers.
To sit in the passenger seat.
Not in the front seat.
Until she realizes that it's bright green and convertible, and everybody can see it.
My girlfriend wasn't too happy when I brought this exact car home. She was quite a bit embarrassed about that.
It's a little ostentatious.
Yeah, it is.
But yes, the 911 will most definitely, probably, maybe.
We don't know this. It might be a hybrid.
Hybrid.
Yeah. But
will they call it a hybrid? Or will that cheapen the brand of the 911?
I don't know, to be honest.
Or will they call it the 911 supercapacitor?
Sounds cool.
The SC.
Yeah.
Oh,
basically.
they can bring back the SC.
Yeah.
That's sick. Okay, so now I'm on board. I thought it was a little bit lame. But you're gonna
obviously this is the big unknown for us, but the fact is that it is actually room for some sort of electrical boost or motor on the transmission. You know, we'll wait and see, but if you think about it, hybrid 911, the way Porsche will design it, it's probably not going to be a bad thing. It's probably going to be quite a good car. But you know, it's
I am neither going to agree nor disagree.
Yeah.
I'm going to plead the fifth.
If it doesn't put on too much weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can fill in the gaps between the gear changes with the booster.
Yeah.
You can give it even better throttle response
with
the booster. Are you on board?
I'm scared it's going to be an inauthentic acceleration.
Yeah.
I'm scared the acceleration is going to feel strange and electronic.
Wizard stuff.
Yeah, like soulless.
Yeah.
Soul electrified. No, I don't know. I'm just nervous. I'm nervous about the way that car's going to feel because it's been pretty similar for a very long time. Not just in looks, but the driving experience has felt pretty similar.
Yeah, it has for a lot of years now. Yeah. Definitely. But, you know, I had this sort of fear of electric cars and the electric car era a couple of years ago. And I was like, because I had driven a couple of electric cars and they were all shit, basically, a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
And there was nothing for the guys like us, driver enthusiasts. But then, you know, it sounds like a cliche, but then Porsche brought out the Taycan. And they sort of showed me and us that it's actually possible to make an electric car that's exciting to drive.
Yes.
And that sort of gives me hope, that car. I mean, the Taycan isn't it's not a pure sports car.
No.
So
it's
I
usable.
think, the day that when Porsche will, back to the 718 actually, the next generation 718 has been confirmed that it will actually be fully electric.
Yes, which makes this car extremely special.
Like the last dinosaur, basically.
extremely special.
Yeah. So it sort of gives me hope for cars like that. I know that Porsche will make electric cars exciting. I know it.
Do you think, this is a brave opinion that I haven't found anybody who shares it, but before the 911 becomes electric, fully electric, should they kill off the name 911? I fully think they should.
Will the 911 ever end, is what basically what
I
you're
fully
saying.
think they should. I think if it's going to end and they're going to kill the name 911, it should be before it comes electric. I think the 992 should be the last 911.
If you kill the 911, you sort of killed Porsche. You know
I don't think so.
You know that.
How many 911s do you sell compared to Cayennes, to Panameras, to Taycans?
But it's more of a symbolic thing, you know?
And then let's move on to whether or not the 911 defines the Porsche driving experience. Do you think it does?
In many ways, yes. The easier answer would probably be yes, it does.
Yes.
Because the 911 has always been with us, and you know the whole cliche of having the engine at the back and the Revy engine and manual gearbox and all that sort of thing has sort of become our brand DNA for a lot of years. But of course, I'm not going to pretend that when you sit inside a Cayenne Turbo or whatever, it feels like a 911 because it just doesn't. It's
a different thing.
Things. Yeah.
But the SUV market was sort of a necessary evil.
It was, yes,
for
us
companies.
as well. Yeah. We wouldn't have been
Porsche
where we are today. No. So yes, it wasn't necessarily evil, but
they're monsters. Having said that, the Cayenne Turbo S is probably top 3 of my favorite cars that I've ever driven.
It is?
It is so much fun.
Yeah.
To have a car that big.
680 horsepower and
so ridiculous.
Yeah.
So ridiculous. And the noise, the shotgun pops when you
it's a dirty car.
It's so good. It's so good. It makes you feel like a driver even with people in the back seat.
Yeah.
It's something to be said about that.
Yeah, to be honest, Porsche are fantastic at this one, with creating this massive SUV and making it feel dynamic and fun to drive.
Yeah.
Only Porsche can do that, to be honest.
But going back to the 911, at what era of 911 can you go back blindfolded, get out of the car and get into a 992 and say, yes, these two are the same thing? Like, how far back can you go before it becomes unrecognizable? So like the 996?
I would actually turn that on its head. I think that 992, you know, it's become so much more refined, so much more comfortable, more capable. It doesn't really feel like an old 911 anymore at all.
No.
If you ask me.
No.
I think some of the characteristics of the 911 actually died with the introduction of the 992, for good and for worse. Some aspects of it. But I would say that the last real old 911 is probably 997.2, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
But like for the classic 911 experience, driving experience, maybe the 991.1 as well.
Yep.
Fantastic car.
Naturally aspirated.
Yeah, Correct.
Yeah, 3.8 liter.
Correct.
Yeah.
And also the manual gearbox. As
Also
we
a manual
keep coming
gearbox.
back to.
Yep. The
So,
trick nobody wants.
I think that the 911 has turned into something different over the last 10 years. It has become something completely different. And the 992 is so close to actually being mid-engined.
Yeah.
You know, because they moved the engine all the way forwards. So it's almost a mid-engine car. So you don't have that characteristics of having the heavy engine out back and the sort of hammer effect, basically. You don't have that anymore. But that being said, it's still a fantastic product, and it still looks, and the soul of it is sort of still 911.
How close is this car, the 718 GTS 4-liter, to taking that title as the Porsche flagship sports car?
Depends on who you ask.
I'm asking you.
You're asking me.
Yeah.
All right. I'm an old school kind of guy, to be honest. Like we have discussed, I like old shit, basically. And I like manual gearboxes. I like naturally aspirated engines. When I'm going out for a drive on a Sunday morning, that's what I want. I want to be involved in the entire process. Preferably, I would want hydraulic steering, everything to be as analog and as manual as possible. So for me, a 718 GTS 4-liter actually gives me more pleasure than a brand new 992.
I don't think you're alone.
No.
I think a lot of people agree with you.
Yeah.
I've only gotten to drive it for 3 laps around Rudskogen, but
You're going to be lucky enough to drive it for...
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited because, like I said before we started recording, the only other 718 I've driven is the Cayman T.
Cayman T, yeah.
Which was 300 horsepower. It's down. I mean, this is up 33% of the power of that one. It's a massive difference.
It is.
So
And it's the entire experience of this car, which I completely love. When I drove this car for the first time, this actual car, I fell in love with it, really. It was like driving a classic proper Porsche once again. That's
kind of the point I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
Does this go back to defining the era of Porsche that made it attractive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
In which case, can we call this the flagship?
It's a step forward and it's a step back at the same time in many ways. Yeah, it is. Because
I really want to call this the flagship Porsche sports car.
Yeah.
I think the new one is something different. It's a supercar. Even the Carrera 4S, I think, is edging on supercar territory.
Yeah, definitely in terms of power and
it's fast as fuck.
Performance, it is.
It's
You've
crazy.
driven like quite a few 992s, right?
Yes. Yeah. Most recently a Targa 4S, which was... It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. We talk about it as if it's sort of losing its attraction, but it's not.
It's not.
It's become a different thing.
Yeah, it's a different thing. That's the exact thing. It's different, but it's not.
Yes.
It's still fantastic, you know?
Yeah.
It really is. But it all comes down to, for me, if I were to have one car, which I were to drive every single day to and from work, to and from the cabin and stuff, I would probably choose the 992.
Yeah.
With a manual.
The back seat. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But if we're talking a spirited Sunday drive, this car.
Yeah. It just responds better. Yeah. It's lighter.
It's everything
it's
I want.
Balanced.
Yeah.
50-50 weight distribution.
Yeah.
Width, 180, more or less, centimeters.
Yeah, around. I'm not actually sure about the exact number of it.
Okay.
But it feels small enough and nimble enough. Really, it does.
Which is funny. It's the same width as my Defender.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. The
Jesus,
Defender is 180.
I thought that tires on your Defender was bigger than this car.
Yeah, no.
It's almost like that.
Fun fact: I didn't realize this until recently. I also have a Tesla Model 3 Performance.
Yeah.
That car has a bigger footprint than my Defender.
Really?
The Model 3 Performance is longer and wider than the Defender.
Jeez.
I have a Defender 110 here.
The fact that your Defender actually doesn't tip over is a miracle.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All the weight is underneath it.
So tall and so narrow. Jesus.
All the weight is underneath it. Oh, but it can sneak through rocks. It can sneak through trees.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point, right?
Fantastic car as well.
But it means that when you're driving it, your arm has to be outside the window. Otherwise, you don't fit. It's a fun experience. But back to this. I just see this as being something that people will look back on. For this era of Porsche, I think when people look back on it and the end of the naturally aspirated era, the end of the non-hybrid era,
Yeah.
I think this will be remembered more fondly.
Yeah, it will. I'm pretty confident that's the case. And also with this was like the first GTS 4-liter in Norway. This car was ordered by Porsche Norway, basically the importer. So if you've seen it in a couple of, it's been on track shoots and road tests with this car already.
That's funny, I haven't seen it.
You haven't?
No, but that's
Look
where
back in the old magazines, you'll see this car.
That's where the 10,000 kilometers comes in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay.
And me,
Yeah,
and my brother.
It has been driven.
It has been driven. Yes.
That's what made me most excited.
Yeah, and
first time I saw it, the first thing I took a picture of was the 10,000 kilometer.
Yeah.
On the what is that called?
Sprite.
Odometer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, odometer.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah. But at the beginning of these cars, you could only order them with the manual.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The
The
PDK wasn't available for the 4-liter.
Ah, why was that?
Purist kind of thing.
Like to force people to become purists?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sort of Porsche tried that, but of course they had to give in to the demand.
Yeah.
So if you order one right now, it could easily be PDK as well. So naturally, this is manual because it was one of the first cars. And it makes me a bit sad because we're afraid as a dealer when we order showroom cars and stuff. We're actually afraid of ordering the manuals because we fear that we won't get to sell them.
That's so scary.
So heavy to sell.
I know Porsche Center Oslo in Bottom has had a GT4. No, they've had a Spyder for over a year and a half. That they can't get rid of.
No, but it's manual, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the case. You know, if we order this car in manual, we will not be able to sell it.
Does the Spyder come with a PDK gearbox?
Yes.
Okay.
And now it does. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
In the beginning, I think it was the same thing. Yeah. In the beginning, it didn't, but then.
That's interesting that Porsche sort of wants to insist that nostalgia.
Yeah.
Like, hey, remember when you were part of the, which maybe is kind of an omen for bad things to come.
Yes, and if you think about it, in let's say 20 years' time, when this thing is starting to become a real proper classic, how many of them will be manuals?
Oh, they're going to be rare.
Yeah.
They're going to be rare. Yeah.
Probably maybe 10% of the entire volume will be manuals.
People are fucking up.
Yeah?
People are fucking up. That's such a big mistake.
Just imagine owning this car now for 20 years. I think it will make quite a good...
Yeah, that's going up.
It will be,
eventually.
eventually.
People, especially in Norway.
Yeah.
Because in Norway, in 20 years, people are going to start importing these. The first market they're going to go to find them is abroad, Germany.
Yeah, Germany, probably, yeah. So they're going to be super rare in a couple of years' time. And we, like I told you before the podcast, we actually sold Boxster Spyder and GT4. GT4 we sold last week. Spyder we sold this week.
Yeah.
Both PDKs.
Both PDKs?
Yes.
So the red one was a PDK?
Yes.
Ah. Okay.
All the cars we order are PDKs, basically.
Is anybody speccing those, or are those all showroom cars that you're ordering?
Like, at the start of the year, often we get a certain amount of, Norwegian word is kvoter, spaces at the factory, basically.
Yeah.
Production car slots, if you want.
Yeah, you get like a quota.
Yeah. Quota. Yeah, perfect. And we get a certain amount of quota for each model. And if we sell them before we have to order them, that's fine. Then the customer can spec it themselves. But after a while, it sort of freezes, which means that we have to spec it. Okay.
To keep people interested, or?
Sorry?
To keep people interested, to sort of just let that little...
To be honest, it's, when Porsche and every other car producer are producing cars, everything is so tightly packed and scheduled. So a slot at the factory is a really precise time slot where that car will be built, no matter what. Yeah.
Okay.
It is. It's like a date, basically. Date and almost to the clock, to the nearest hour.
So how soon after you order it do you get to know the date?
Depends. On, like, at the start of the year, you know when the car is going to be produced. You know how many cars of each model we get to try to sell. Yeah. And if we don't sell them in, say, 2 or 3 months, then we actually have to put a spec down because the factory has to produce it.
Yeah, okay.
Anyways. So if that time sort of runs out, we have to spec it ourselves. then it's going to be
That's
TDK.
interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Then you wouldn't risk it.
No,
You don't
no,
want-
we won't.
I guess if people are going to get a manual, if people care enough to get a manual, and only 5 to 10% of them are getting manuals,
Yeah.
they're going to want to spec it themselves.
I would, yeah.
Not many people are going to want to just buy a silver one
But
that you've
at the
ordered
same
and-
time, you know, if you look at a Taycan or a Cayenne, you know, there's so many options to choose from when you're speccing it.
Yes.
You need to know the Porsche brand in and out to actually be able to spec it.
Yep.
But when it comes to these cars, the GTS 4 liters, the specing of them is a lot simpler.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have less options, and the driveline, like the differentials and all the driving sort of aids and stuff, is standard on it.
Oh, yeah.
So you basically just spec the cosmetics and the way it's going to look.
And even the cosmetic stuff like the interior, you get GTS packages.
Yeah,
Right? You get
correct.
the Alcantara.
You could get leather if you want to, but you know,
Why would
it's
you?
a GTS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something you just got to trust Porsche on.
So speccing a GTS 4 liter is a lot easier
Yeah.
for the normal person compared to speccing a Cayenne, basically.
Is that something that worries you as well? Like, would you rather? Because Porsche is maybe, at least as far as I know, one of the most complicated configurators.
Yeah, we get that all the time.
The
from
options
customers.
are insane.
Yeah, yeah. It's like every single car we sell and produce are tailor-made.
Is
That's
that
what we call it.
is that scary? Like, do you think you're going to lose that? Do you think people are going to get turned off of that?
No, I don't,
No?
to be honest. But it makes people more dependent on us who sell these cars and which know these cars in and out.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like with the Taycan, we've gotten a lot of new customers who hasn't that much experience with Porsche from before, and they came here and they don't understand anything in the configurator, right? They're completely hopeless. They know that they need the varmepumpe. What's it called in English?
Yeah.
Heat pump.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah. They know that that's what they want, but you know, obviously a lot of the time they come from Teslas,
Yep.
and Tesla lets you choose the color. That's probably it.
Yeah, and even then there's like 5 colors.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was a
So they don't understand anything, but it gives us a great opportunity to actually get to know you as a customer, right? We have to get to know you to tailor-made the perfect car for you as an individual. I think that's a nice thing.
it's underrated.
It is.
It's underrated.
It is.
People take it for granted.
Yeah,
But
they do.
do you think Porsche should have like set specs, like a list of 5
No.
or 6 different specs that
No.
you can choose from?
No.
Not like solely. Like the configurator, the way you configure the car should be there. I like that it's involved. But for the people who don't want to be involved, do you think it's attractive to just go to a place and be like, do you want like the winter package? Do you want like the summer package?
Same way that most other manufacturers are doing it, basically.
Just like a Bronco would.
Yeah. And Bronco.
Yeah, but
So many of those in Norway.
But no. But I mean, have you spent time like looking at it? You basically
no,
pick
I
like,
actually haven't. No,
do you want
not
like
much.
the off-road package?
Yeah.
Do you want like the urban package or like
Yeah.
the Defender, right? The
Yeah.
Defender option,
Yeah.
sort of, they're limited.
Or any BMW, they do
Yeah.
the same, right? The M Sport package and
Mm-hmm.
same sort of thing. It would make it easier for people, but I think it would make my job and our job less interesting because
Definitely.
you will end up with a lot of the same cars.
Definitely.
Of course, it would be easy, but I think you will lose some of that mystique about Porsche. Some of the identity of the brand will be lost.
Yeah.
Because of course, we've become really big and we mass produce cars like crazy these times. But it's still supposed to be that dream car, that tailor-made dream car just for you.
Yeah.
That's what we do here.
But there are some options that don't need to be there. You can get like a 6 CD changer and a Cayenne, right?
Actually, you can't anymore.
You can anymore.
No.
Oh, okay.
The CD is gone.
But that was recent.
Yeah, quite recent.
That was-
Yeah, you could spec it. Yeah, only a couple of years ago. Now, I would say no. Actually,
It's all mandatory. Or it's all
yeah,
useful.
I like the way it is right now, and it just. But that's of course from a dealer's perspective because we get so involved with every customer.
Definitely more fun for you.
Yeah, and
I
more
agree.
interesting.
I think it should be complicated. That's what makes Porsche so much fun.
You agree?
You get a car that's yours.
Yeah, you agree to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
I think it's fun. It's a fun hobby.
It is.
Going through and configuring cars.
It is.
But I think it's cool that you get like a tailor-made car.
Yeah.
But it's hard to make people understand that these aren't just like options that you're choosing. These are like personality traits to the car.
Yeah. And of course, there is a big difference between speccing up a new 992 GT3 and speccing up a base model Taycan, for example. Yeah. Both, of course, in price, but also in philosophy. And some of our customers who actually order a baseline Taycan will want it to be as simple as possible, and they choose black on black on black on black on black.
Easy to sell.
Yes, of course,
That's Norway. That's Norway's problem.
Yeah, it is. But I would like to keep it the way it is, to be honest. To get to know each and every customer that well. It's a fantastic thing.
How do we fix the black on black on black problem? How do we make colors more attractive?
I think it's actually, I don't think you can change it.
No.
To be honest, no.
No.
I think it's something rooted deep down in the Norwegian sort of soul.
Yeah.
From the olden days when we didn't have any money. Like from the 50s, 40s and 50s. Nobody had any money. So if you came in a really bright and flashy car, you would just seem like this idiot. And this sort of philosophy still exists today, unfortunately.
Yeah, Janteloven.
Yeah, correct.
As it's called.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Come on.
This is not Janteloven.
No. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. You should be proud. The car should reflect you. It should make sense. You should be able to look at the car and be like, I know exactly the kind of person who's driving it. And the problem is in Norway right now, if you get a bright colored car, people do think that. They look at the car and they think that's a racing yellow GT3.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
He's a dick. Yeah. That guy's an ass. Yeah. But back in like the 70s, you could get like checkered interior. You could get crazy options. Yeah. And you would look at it and be like, that guy's probably kind of funky, kind of a cool dude. Yeah. What happened? Why aren't we like that anymore?
I hate it, to be honest. I really hate it.
It's scary.
Yeah, and even when we sell 911s, it's very often it's like dark gray, black.
Yep.
These boring colors.
I don't want that. Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. At least not me.
It's the same with the manual.
Yeah, and like in Norway, we always worry about the car when we're going to sell it. You know, we worry about when we're trying to sell it, and that basically means that we're speccing the car for the next person, not for ourselves.
Do you remember when they were giving journalists the tours? It was Andreas Proninger and the video with Chris Harris, where he lifted up the cover
Shark Blue.
And showed the Shark Blue. They didn't mention Shark Blue because they couldn't name it then, but they showed it, and the internet was stoked. Yeah. Stoked. How many GT3s have you spec'd in Shark Blue?
None.
People desperately want these things.
Yeah.
And when it comes out, they don't want it. They don't want any part of it.
No,
what happens?
But that's the Norwegian problem, to be honest.
It's also, another thing, sorry, before I lose it. Just in the same vein, a lot of people were excited that for the GT3, for the PDK GT3s, they got rid of the little, the switch thing to switch driving modes. Yeah. And instead they put a stick. So when you go into manual mode, you can, is anybody going to use that?
Very rarely.
In Norway.
But sometimes, but at least I do. I use it. Yes. I like to use it. It becomes, we're back to the manual gearbox, to be honest. I prefer manuals. And having one hand on the steering wheel and one hand on the gear lever when you're shifting feels more like a manual gearbox. You feel more involved than just sitting there flicking paddles.
I agree.
So that's my perspective on it, but probably most of the people who buy these cars and use them are never going to use it.
But everybody was excited.
Yeah.
Everybody was pumped when they saw that.
Everyone you hear on YouTube, like commenting on YouTube, there are fuckers like us, basically. Yeah. Enthusiasts.
But I'm going to say it again. I'm more excited about the PDK.
Yeah.
I will use the paddles.
Yeah.
I didn't see the stick and think, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I was just kind of, well, whatever. I'm going to use the paddles anyway.
Yeah.
They're faster. I don't
Of
need
course.
to take my hands off the wheels.
It is.
I'm one of those guys. But
Yeah.
why aren't people more open about being honest? Just be honest about it. Like, why aren't there any journalists who are saying, I don't need that, whatever, that stick is inconsequential to me. They're all like, this is a great thing and I'm stoked to have it. Or like Shark Blue.
Journalists, keep coming back to, I think that journalist like Chris Harris, he's old school.
Yeah, I write. I'm a journalist, technically.
Yeah, but you're younger.
I have the degree.
You're a
somewhere.
lot younger than Chris Harris.
Yeah. I mean, Chris Harris is the epitome of the purist.
Yeah, and to be honest, inside this rather young body, you will find an old man in myself.
Yeah.
So
can tell.
I find myself sharing almost every opinion that Chris Harris has.
Yeah, well, he's right.
I agree with him.
He
Yeah.
is right. He's always
Yeah.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard not to agree with him. He's kind of the objective car enthusiast.
I find myself liking the same things that he likes, and that sort of makes me an old man on the inside.
Yeah. As does his.
Yeah.
But for those of us who don't actually care that much, I get it. Manual's fun. It will be fun. It will be
Yep.
fun to play around with the stick. I think it'd be a blast. And as a journalist, if I were to get a press car that was manual, a GT3 manual press car,
Yeah,
of course I'd prefer the manual. It'd be fun. You would feel it a bit more. You'd
Yeah.
be more involved. And you could brag about it more when you
Yeah.
talk about it in situations like this.
Yeah.
No, I had the manual. Like, it was great. I had a good feel for the car.
Yeah.
But if I were to buy the car, I know damn well I wouldn't get a manual.
You wouldn't.
I wouldn't. And I wouldn't pretend that I wanted the manual.
No. That's an honest opinion for once.
Why is nobody honest about this? It's so strange. It's
No,
so
I don't
weird.
know.
I wouldn't get it in Shark Blue. I wouldn't get a manual. I wouldn't get the pinstripes on the wheel. I just wouldn't get the crazy stuff.
You would get the black.
I wouldn't get black. I would get Adventurine. Adventurine green, I think, is the perfect balance.
But it's still, I don't know, it says green,
Yeah.
but it's almost gray.
Yeah.
You know?
I know.
And it's almost a bit boring.
I'm not going to hide it.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get it because it'll resell. I
So
know
you're part of
Adventurine.
the big problem here in Norway. Even if you're originally American,
Yeah.
you're still part of the problem.
I am part of the problem. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I think colors are cool. It's cool to see colors, but
Yeah.
when I'm buying it, I think the thing is you should buy a color that reflects you.
Yeah.
And I think the color that reflects me
Yeah.
is something like Adventuring green or like a Brewster green, maybe like an
Yeah.
oak. I think oak green is one of the prettiest colors they've
Oak
ever
green
made.
is probably the best color that Porsche has ever made.
It's
if you ask
perfect.
me. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a bit conservative. It's a bit wild. It's got it all.
Yeah.
But it suits every interior.
Classic 911 in oak green.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect.
There's a guy, he has imported an SC with under 60,000 kilometers in
Yeah.
oak green with a cognac interior. And it is the prettiest SC I've ever seen.
That's my dream Porsche.
It's
That's
perfect.
That's what I'm going to have in the future.
I hate that man. He's got gold Fuchs on it, like a racing style.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I wouldn't have the
very
Gold Fuchs, to be honest, but I would have the oak green
Yeah.
and the beige interior, cognac, beige, something like that. It's
cool.
That would be my dream. space.
distressed leather,
Yeah.
used, abused.
Perfect. Yeah.
Smells a little bit like cigarettes.
Cigarettes, oil, and
Yeah.
good old times. You know.
Someone drove that car.
Yeah.
but not too
drove
far.
that car. No. Correct.
No, but that's also a strange thing is the mileage. Like, it excites me when a car has a lot of mileage. It doesn't need 300,000 kilometers.
Of course not. Everything has limits, but
This having 10,000, for some reason, it makes me more confident driving it.
yeah.
Which is cool. It's nice. It's heritage.
Yeah, it's been used.
Personality.
The
It's a
way
friend,
supposed
right?
to be. Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want a friend who's making a friend for the first time.
That's correct. That's correct.
You don't want that. That's weird.
But let's go on to the controversial bit with the 718s,
Okay.
the 4 cylinders.
Yes.
Yes. Have you driven one? Yes, you have.
I have driven a 4-cylinder, only 3 laps around the track. It was manual. I spent the entire 3 laps trying to figure out how to drive a
The
manual.
Cayman, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I drove my Defender down to the track, and the Defender, the release point is an inch off
Yeah.
the bottom of the
Yeah,
clutch. And for the 718s, it's pretty far out.
But I think you're I thought I was talking about this 4-cylinder, not the 4-liter.
Oh, the 4-cylinder.
Yes.
Sorry. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of 4s involved.
Yeah.
Yes, I've driven the 4-cylinder. Also a manual. Yeah.
Cayman T,
Yep,
right?
The Cayman T.
Yeah.
Correct.
What did
300
you
horsepower.
think about that car?
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
I wrote an article about it. It's a toy.
Yeah.
That car. It's a toy. It's not to be taken seriously. It's
Mm.
not like a monster machine that you're going to show off with. It's just like, you know, when you're a kid and you're sitting on your knees and you have that like little carpet that has all the roads on it.
Yeah,
And you go,
I used to have that. Yeah.
Like that's what that car is.
Yeah.
It's the one you go near with.
Yeah.
But when you're serious, you buy a track in the shape of, or you buy a carpet in the shape of a track,
Yeah.
and you plot out your like exact markings that you want to hit,
Yeah.
all the apexes. That's not what that car is for.
Yeah.
It's
I
for
would
the
agree.
kids who are on the knees going near, and then just threw it aside and went and got
It
dinner.
just feels light and it just feels nimble and playful. You know,
It's fun. It's a lot of money for that kind of fun.
it is.
You could
Of
get a
course it is.
Miata.
Yeah, yeah.
You could get an
you could.
MX-5 and have that
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of fun.
But yeah, or so you liked it.
I liked it. I thought it was
What
cool.
did you think about the engine?
The
Because
engine,
the Cayman T is like the base engine, basically. So you have a 2-liter, 300 horsepower, Boxster 4-cylinder,
Yes.
basically. Yeah, with one big turbocharger.
felt good. It was balanced. The turbocharger is very loud.
Yeah.
It's very dramatic
Yeah,
in the driver's seat,
Yeah.
which is cool and bad. I mean, for the purists, obviously, it's kind of annoying hearing the as it winds up. But for those of us who can't drive faster than the car,
yeah,
the car's fast enough.
it is.
It doesn't need to be faster.
And objectively, I would say that the 718 2-liter, 300 horsepower, the car is really fast.
It is fast.
It has a lot of performance, and it has quite a big turbocharger,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, so there's nothing wrong with the performance,
Yeah.
and it makes quite a lot of sound.
Yep.
It's quite vocal.
It is. Yeah.
What do you think about the sound? Because that's
the
the
sound?
controversial bit, right?
It's a 4-liter.
Yeah.
It's a 4-liter. Or it's not a 4. Sorry, it's a 4-cylinder. You know, it's something funny. I drove the Cayman T, and almost the next like week or two,
Yeah.
I drove a Polestar 1, another
Right.
4-cylinder, turbocharged, supercharged, and it's a monster. The Polestar 1 it's another league.
Yeah,
It's
it's-
600 horsepower. It's crazy.
It's insane.
But the fact that they have the same mentality, the car has the same brain. When it comes down to mixing air with gas
Yeah.
and lighting it on fire,
Yeah.
it's the same mechanics.
Yeah.
But the Cayman T is so much more eventful.
Yeah.
So much more eventful.
Yeah.
You're more involved. The car is a little bit lighter. You feel like you can use it more.
Yeah.
It's got half the horsepower,
Yeah.
but
Also have to wait.
also have to wait. It's just a little bit more personality.
I think you're right. And I've driven quite a few 719s. And of course, the controversial bit when the car was launched is it has this 4-cylinder engine, which is not a Porsche thing, you know, right? We're all about the
What do you
flat
mean it's
sixes.
not a Porsche thing? It's been a Porsche
well,
thing since the 924.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, actually. And the 356 and all those cars. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a Porsche
course.
thing before Porsche was a thing.
Yeah. And that's sort of what Porsche is going for by calling it the 718.
Okay.
Hawking back to the legendary 718 race car from the, I think it was early 60s.
I didn't know that.
You know the 550 Spyder?
Yep.
It's the 718 is an evolution of the 550 Spyder.
Does it still have the wing? That was my favorite part about the 550.
Yeah. No, it's an evolution of that car. It's still
Okay.
a 4-cylinder, still mid-engined. Won a ton of races in the early 60s, late 50s or something like that.
Okay.
And that's what Porsche are trying to hawk back to by calling it the 718.
Okay.
Google it when you get home. It's a really
Yes.
nice car. Yeah.
Are they
Air
trying to
cooled,
like
of course.
connect it to the sort of visceral driving experience that it offered, or is it just sort of a namesake?
I think it's a namesake, to be
Okay.
honest. To be completely honest, I think it's just a namesake.
Why not?
And to sort of defend the fact that it's a 4-cylinder.
Mm-hmm.
And I've driven quite a few of the 718s. I've driven the car you were talking about, the Cayman T.
Yep.
That exact car I've actually driven quite a bit.
What'd you think?
I like it, of course I like it. And objectively, it's a fantastic engine. But I think this perspective comes down to my lack of driving skills.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I'm not a professional racing driver, and when I drove that car, I did experience quite a bit of turbo lag
Yes.
in that car, and that is an experience you haven't had for a sports car of the Porsche range for a very long time. You know, turbo lag has been a thing of the past, right? But with the manual gearbox, quite long gears, right?
Yeah, second gear is up to like 100.
Very illegal in second gear. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go to jail in second gear.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, it's down to the fact that I'm not good enough to actually be in the correct gear at the correct time.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt a bit disappointed, actually, because it wasn't that. It was when I put my foot down at 2,500 RPM, there was turbo lag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I didn't like that car that much. But that being said, we had a Miami blue. Hey, that's a perfect color.
There you go. It's a good color.
That was actually a demo car that we had there. Miami blue baseline came in with the same engine, but with a PDK. It was much better.
Wasn't much better.
Yes, it was.
Was much better. Okay.
It was a lot better in terms of my feeling, and because the PDK is always perfect, right?
Yeah.
It's always in the correct gear at the correct time.
Yeah.
And when that engine is on boost and is on the correct RPM, it's a fantastic engine. And it produces a lot of sound, a lot of theater, a lot of drama. I really liked it. It doesn't produce a 6-cylinder sound, let's be honest. It sounds like a Boxster 4. It's like the Subaru engine.
As it should. As it should. To get a 6-cylinder sound, you have to
it's impossible.
add something. And
it would be fake.
Yeah.
I like the sound. But at the same time, I know it's not a 6-cylinder, and that, as a purist, it sort of bothers me a bit.
But this is.
This is, yes, definitely.
All the GT4s, the Spyder.
Yes, basically built around the same engine. At low RPMs, it's not that vocal, and it doesn't produce that much horsepower, basically. Mm-hmm. And you will find because this is manual, as mentioned, you will find that it is extremely long-geared.
Yeah.
Like, second gear is, you can get into jail in first gear in this car.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I think first gear is like good for 80, 90 kilometers an hour.
Okay.
First gear.
Yeah. For my purposes, that's...
Should be enough.
I'm good with that.
Keep it in first gear.
Okay, I know I'm going to get mad at it if I do some spirited driving, but for driving to and from home, that's...
Yeah, it works fine.
I'm okay.
But it feels weird.
Yeah.
When the gears are that long, and you take a bit of time to get used to it, but the gearbox in this car is just fantastic.
So first gear will take you to
like 70, 80 kilometers an hour. And then second gear probably 130.
First gear in my Defender will take me to 15.
Well,
that's going to be a weird feeling at first.
Yeah, it is. The gears are extremely long for this car, but the tactile feel of that shifter, oh Jesus, it's just so fantastic.
Is it the shorter shifter?
Yes, it's a bit shorter, but to me, I'm not too fan of a too short gear. I want to feel the movement, you know? And you can actually feel when it's going from first to second gear, you can actually feel the sort of teeth combining and going together.
Oh yeah.
To create this really tactile feel of the shifter, and the clutch is just so perfectly balanced, you know?
I'm
the
excited.
Grabbing point, it's very easy to drive in start-stop traffic, but it's so precise.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a video.
Yeah.
I'm going to film a video on Saturday. Me and my filmer Mats are going to take it out and go.
You should
really get into it.
You're going to find that when you drive it in a bit of a spirited manner, you will only use second, third, maybe fourth, but that's...
Yeah.
Then you're going really fast.
Oh, yeah. Fourth is for highways.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, but I think you will love this car. And the sound. I keep coming back to it, the 6-cylinder sound.
Yeah.
It's just, for a Porsche purist like myself, it is something special. That's fun. Yeah, you can never replace it. I mean, the 718 for 4-cylinder cars, they can be as good as they want, but
yeah,
they're still, they don't give me that sound and that feel. Naturally aspirated 6-cylinder. It's perfect. It defines Porsche. It does. It does. That's what it's all about, to be honest. So I think you will really enjoy this car, and the sound and the gear shift and everything. Oh, perfect. And on that note, I'm going to call it there. Yeah. And we'll go out and drive. Let's actually give this car a try. I'm pumped. It's pretty. It's loud. It's bright. How's the weather? Holding. It's holding. It's gray. Let's give it a shot. Yeah. Sweet. On that note, thank you very much, Sindre. That is it.
There will
See ya.
be a editing stream. There will be a video, and if that's not out by now, it will be coming soon. So on and so forth. Also, we're brainstorming a pretty fun idea for the podcast because the podcast has been pretty inconsistent at the moment, but there's something I think that's going to change that. Hopefully that will happen soon. Keep everybody updated. Thank you very much, Sindre. That's it.
Thank you.
We're out.